Just because you work the night shift doesn't mean you have to get stuck in the rut of sleeping, eating, working, sleeping, eating, working. It's boring and it's so bad for your mental health. I have been in your position many, many times as a registered nurse and night shift worker, and I know there is a better way than what you are probably currently doing it. So in this video, I want to give you 5 of my best tips for when you're working multiple night shifts in a row so you don't end up being some sort of zombie that you're probably describing yourself as. I'm super excited to share these tips with you because I wish someone had told me these sooner. So let's get into it. Hey friends, welcome back. So good to have you. Now, before we jump into the video, there are just 2 really important things I want to say, but don't worry, I'll be very quick. First of all, as a night shift worker, we can get away with anything. Having a donut for breakfast and washing it down with a big can of Coke and being constantly in a bad mood for our entire run of night shift is all forgiven because we work the 3rd shift. But we have to get out of this mindset because it's not doing our minds, our bodies, or probably our social relationships any favors. So that's the first tip. We have to change our mindset. Second thing I just want to say is as you go through this video, you may think, oh, geez, these tips are a little bit general, but please keep watching because we have got some real special nuggets of information that I cannot wait to share with you. So don't leave too soon. My first tip when you're working multiple night shifts in a row is when you get home and you're all ready to wind down, put on one episode of your favorite series that you might be watching instead of a full-length film, such as Titanic. May not be the best choice because it goes for 3 damn hours. If you're a gamer, I'm not a gamer, so I may make myself feel like a little bit of an idiot, but choose a shorter game to play, maybe between 30 and 40 minutes, not something any longer than that. In my experience, us night shift workers do a terrible job at prioritizing sleep. Suddenly mopping the floor, vacuuming, cleaning the toilet, scrubbing the shower, all these things seem to really take priority over sleep. And I know that we do this because I have absolutely done this. We don't prioritize sleep for some reason. I don't know if it's because it's boring or because it's going against what the rest of the world is doing. But this first tip, we really have to start prioritizing sleep and finding a routine that works best for you and your family. Where can you find consistency in your routine when you get home from a night shift? Try to find a routine where you can shower, you can eat something, and you go to bed all sort of within the same time. If it's within half an hour, that's fine, but not within 3 to 4 hours. Sort of try to create some sort of consistency. Now, my routine is going to look very different to yours. So throughout the next couple of minutes in the video, I'm going to show you what I do. So maybe you can pick up some tips, to maybe spice up your routine a little bit. After arriving home from work, I take off my scrubs and put them directly into the washing machine. I want to wash my scrubs with scrubs and nothing else. After having a shower and putting some moisturizer on my probably dehydrated face, I then put on my blue light blocking glasses. Now these are from Swanwick Sleep and we absolutely love them. I've done a full review on these glasses when I first got them because I really wasn't sure about them, which you can check up. I'll link above my head and also in the description below this video, and I highly recommend you checking them out. Once I put my glasses on, I then go into the kitchen and make myself some breakfast, which is generally after a night shift, is some oats. I heat up some warm berries and also cut up some walnuts on them because they're naturally high in melatonin, and which is our sleep hormone, which I think can only help, right? And I also love the crunch. So once I got my little warm bowl of oats, I put on one episode of a show. Like I said before, this is not a time to pick your favorite movie and watch. You want to pick something that's about half an hour, 45 minutes maximum. You don't want something any longer than that because for most of us, we really don't need 3 hours to wind down after a shift. Sometimes you do, but for the most part, I think half an hour is probably sufficient. This shorter wind down period may be a new thing for you. You may normally wind down for 2-3 hours, and shortening this time period may just absolutely throw you off. But little steps, just slowly start to create a new normal for yourself. Falling asleep on the couch is absolutely not something you want to do, because once you do finally get to bed, you're going to find it pretty hard to stay there. After my show is finished, I generally brush my teeth, leaving these glasses on, again, to stop that blue light waking up our melatonin, because we're trying to calm everything down and start to kickstart that melatonin to help us sleep. I then pop into bed and I lay on what's called a Shakti mat. Now, I'm probably pronouncing that totally wrong, but it's these mats that Dan's recently become obsessed with that is supposed to help with circulation and helping you calm down. I set a timer here for about 15 to 20 minutes, and that is plenty enough time to lay on this mat. So while you're laying on it, sort of what do you do for 20 minutes, you might ask? Well, I do a couple of things. Listen to an audio book from Audible. I've become obsessed with Audible on night shift. And I don't know if it's because I'm just lazy and I don't want to hold the book, but it's really nice to turn off all the lights when you're laying on your mat. I've still got my swan lit glasses on. I've got all the blinds shut, and I just listen to a really nice story. Again, for about 15 to 20 minutes until that time has gone off when I'm laying on the mat. If I don't feel like listening to a story, the second thing that I can do is listen to a Spotify playlist called Sleep, which I'll, again in the description below, link my favorite playlist that I like listening to. And if even music is not quite what I'm feeling, I like to listen to the Calm app or the Headspace app, which is a mindfulness meditation, which sometimes is absolutely beautiful after you're on a night shift. You've just come back from a hectic night shift and your brain just needs to calm down a little bit to allow you to sleep. So there's sort of the three things that I love to listen to when I'm on the mat. Also during this time, you can turn on a diffuser and have some aromatherapy. Put some lavender on your on this part of your wrist, or also on your temples, that can help sort of start to kickstart that sleep cycle. If you are loving these tips so far, please like this video and consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps motivate me to make more videos. The second tip I've got for you is to enjoy dinner outside in the sunshine before you start your next night shift. Our body clocks need help realigning itself, particularly as a night shift worker. Our body clock, or circadian rhythm, is regulated by the light and dark signals that it receives from the sun. And obviously as a night shift worker, we are just throwing that into an absolute tiz. Any sun exposure that you can get when you wake up from a night shift, so in the afternoon, will do amazing things for your body clock. So a really important thing to mention here though is, yes, we want the sun, but we want it when we wake up from night shift. We really want to avoid it between finishing work and before we go to sleep. I sort of touched on it before, but our sleep hormone melatonin needs darkness for it to actually work. So if we don't close the blinds, or we expose ourselves to too much blue light, so the light coming from your phone, computer, TV, the lights, your bedside lamp, all these things are telling your sleep hormone melatonin that, hey, I don't really want to go to sleep yet. And the same can be said for the sun. So if you sit outside and you want to have your breakfast outside when you get home from a night shift, put blue light blocking glasses on, or consider having your breakfast inside in the darkness. I know it sounds super weird, but it'll be I think you'll have a much better sleep, because your sleep hormone melatonin can actually start doing its job. Number 3 is to book yourself into a virtual exercise class. So why these classes are so good and why I've seriously got on board with them is I can roll out of bed, put on activewear that may not match, or even just stay in my pajamas. I can stream these exercise classes to the TV or even just on my computer and literally do the thing in my lounge room. If you're brave enough to join a group exercise class down at your local gym or outside, like I mentioned before, which is probably even better, then go ahead, go and do that. But actually booking yourself into a class, whether that be virtually or in person, gets your butt out of bed. If you know that you've paid for something, you've committed to a class, probably more likely that you're actually going to go. As a night shift worker, I found the days that I skipped this exercise were the night shift days that I could not sleep. One of the best tips I've ever given to myself is when I get home from a night shift after I've showered, eaten something, and I've still got my glasses on, I get my workout gear ready and I put it literally at my door with my shoes, socks, bra, all the things I need for exercise. I put it literally right at the door. So then when I wake up after I've slept on a night shift, it is the first thing that I see. And I've made a rule with myself that I'm not allowed to step over my activewear. If I do, that is super lazy. So get your activewear out, get it all ready and put it literally in a place where you cannot ignore it. Two other tips that I find really beneficial when trying to find the motivation to exercise is one, organizing something with a friend. You don't want to let your friend down, right? You can't leave them stranded at the park when they've hauled their butt out of bed. Well, that's if you pick a night shift worker to work out with, which again, I highly recommend as well. The other thing, if you can't find a friend or there's no one on the same routine as you, is jumping rope. I know I've talked about jumping rope before in another video, which I'll link above my head, but I find jumping rope, when I've got the right bra on, of course, an incredible workout. 10 minutes, I am sweating like a pig. And my heart rate's going, and I find that it's just an incredible workout. It's cheap and I can do it from home. Again, the whole leaving the house thing is sort of scary as a night shift worker because I don't want anyone to see me. So working out at home just in our backyard is perfect for me. Tip number 4 is pimp your water. I know everybody talks about caffeine as a shift worker and you have to limit your intake, you know, before you go to bed, which I totally agree with, by the way, but I think the tip's probably a little bit boring and something that you should probably consider doing if you're not doing it already. But one thing on night shift that I find incredible, may sound basic, but incredibly helpful and energizing, is to just drink the coldest water you can possibly find. So as a nurse, this is super easy because I just go to the patient ice fridge and just fill up my whole drink bottle with ice and a little bit of water, and voila. The other thing is you can maybe buy a drink bottle that you can infuse some fruit into. I know there's some drink bottles, you can either put fruit at the top of the bottle or at the bottom. I like these bottles, but I just find on a night shift, you might need to just refresh the fruit, you know, after probably 4 or 5 hours of it being in there, because I find it just goes a little bit funny. My 5th and final tip here is to accept the night shift schedule and commit to it. I know this night shift schedule is hard. I know it's tough and I know it's not normal, but for whatever reason, we have to do it. It's part of our job. So commit to the schedule, accept that this is going to be your routine for the next couple of nights, and I can guarantee you're probably going to have a much better time. So just as a little wrap up here, number 1, find a sleep routine which works for you and your family. Number 2, enjoy dinner outside with those who you love, your housemates, your dogs, whoever. Just try to get some sort of sun exposure before you head into another night shift. Number 3, book yourself into an exercise class, whether that be virtually or you're heading outside. Work up a sweat, get that heart rate going, and you'll probably sleep better. Number 4, pimp your water. Whether that's just drinking ice cold water with a little bit of fruit or even caffeine timed nicely 6 hours before you go to sleep. Number 5 is to accept the night shift schedule. Commit to it, put everything you've got into it, because it's absolutely not forever. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, we think there's another one that you're gonna really enjoy as well, which is how to switch from the night shift to the day shift, which can be very, very tricky. But again, over the time, I think I've developed a few little tips that you can implement. So check that out. I'll link it in the description below this video and also link a card above my head. Thanks again for checking us out, and we look forward to seeing you at the next video.